Bienvenidos a Matetumat. Soy Dinazar y en esta ocasión presentamos un video que pertenece a una serie en la cual hemos estado realizando entrevistas a diferentes investigadores. Nuestra intención es reconocer las características específicas que tiene la disciplina de educación matemática en el mundo. Esta vez toca el turno de saber sobre educación matemática en República Checa.
My name is Novotna. I am professor of mass education at Charles University, Faculty of Education. I am involved in doctoral studies and in research in mass education in the country, and I'm also the member of many international groups of scientists who do some common projects.
Okay, my name is Hana Moraová. I finished my PhD studies last year. Now I cooperate with the Faculty of Education I'm not an employee of the Faculty of Education, but I run a course there for students of mathematics, and I have more experience from what schools are like working on primary or secondary school as well.
Okay, we are going to start. Thank you for your time, for you want to be in this channel, and we want to know something about the field of math education in Czech Republic. That's what we want to know. How did the field of math education arise in Czech Republic?
I would start with education as such, and it played always a very important role in the whole history of the Czech lands, of the territory where the Czech Republic is situated. I could go in a very far history, but I will start with two extremely important events. One is the foundation of Charles University in Prague in 1348. It was the first university east of Paris and north from Bologna. It was the third university in Europe, I think. And the second very important point is the work of Johann Amos Comenius, who is considered as the father of modern pedagogy and didactics. And he influenced not only the Czech education, but also the whole, at least European education everywhere. And
his basic concept, which was which was lots of innovation, was schola ludus, which means that education should be playful and enjoyable for the children. He was an advocate of demonstrating things, of children having the chance and possibility to try things, to touch things. So he opposed the very theoretical, scholarly-like way of teaching and was in favor of direct experience. And that's why he is still quite popular in Europe, and he is still influential, because these ideas are the basis of modern pedagogy. Sorry.
And the strong education movement in the country can be also illustrated by the fact that many groups of people that were not educated in other countries got at least the basic education. For example, Hussite women.
That's the tradition that we have in the Czech Republic. Maybe not based on reality and scientific facts.
She is a historian, not only a math educator, but also a historian. She knows things better than me.
But there is a legend which says that women in the 15th century could read and write, which is not very likely, but the legend exists and is often quoted.
It is published.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then the situation was influenced by the historical events. For example, the Czech Republic was a part of the Austrian-Hungarian Empire, and all the all the laws and everything came from this empire. And then when the Czechoslovakia at the beginning in 1918 was established, lot of Austrian Hungarian educational system was adapted for the new country, and it was changed step by step. Then there was the Second World War, when we were protectorate of Germany, and we did not have too much, universities were closed, and we did not have much things to do independently. And then, starting with 48, it was the 40 years of Soviet Union influence in the country. But I would say that in mass education, this event did not interrupt it heavily. It continued, and it was not badly organized and badly. Our mass education was really good in comparison with the whole world. And one of the proofs for it is, for example, that after the 89, when the Republic, when the whole Soviet empire was divided into countries and we were liberated from the Soviet influence, that we were able to connect with people whom we knew and with scientists and mass educators influential in the whole world, to continue with them. We were interrupted from the world movement, but we still kept the links with the world unofficially. And it immediately continued with cooperation with other countries and with important mass educators and mathematicians and so on.
Do you identify some main lines of research in maths education that comes in from Czech Republic or that are developed in Czech Republic?
Well, one of the ways of answering this question is having a look at what is happening in the world that influences what is happening in the Czech Republic. Jarmila say much more about that, but for example, Brousseau's theory of didactical situations is a threat in didactics of mathematics that has had lots of impact on what is going on in the Czech Republic. So I will just let...
Freudian's, for example, Freudian's realistic mathematics is also very much influenced. The German school, there is not one school in Germany, there are groups, but the most important, I think, is Wittmann's school. So
substantial learning environments and work with substantial learning environments. But I think also the German school of textbook research has had influence on some of the research threads in the Czech Republic, like Rezat and Strasser, who would be...
Also the communication and influence of language and all these things, and comparative studies are very important now. And for example, I am the member of a group which is called Lexicon Project, which is coordinated from Australia, and there are people from 9 countries, 10 at the moment because South Korea joined us. And before that it was Learner's Perspective Study, the same coordination institutions. And we also cooperate very much with Canada and US and also with South Africa. And so, you know, there is a big diversity of research in the country, and we are a small country, but people are really doing a lot of things.
Yeah.
So maybe if we look into the Czech Republic and what is happening in the field of maths education, the issues will be issues like how to make maths education more constructivist, inquiry-based learning is very important, assessment, formative assessment rather than summative assessment. Teaching mathematics in other languages is another field of study.
Problem solving, but also posing, culture of solving problems as such.
Critical spots of school mathematics, having a look at those areas that cause most difficulty among teachers as well as among learners. So that would be another field of study.
And also the use of ICT in mass education, because it's a big issue now. And STEM, of course.
Online supported learning, as you said, ICT in education, but really e-learning as well.
But you recognize another authors who have a broad influence in maths education in Czech Republic.
I must say that we are a small country and all math educators cooperate together. It's not a concurrence, but it's a competition, but it's a cooperation. The center is in Prague. There used to be two places where the research in math education was done. One is the Faculty of Education at Charles University, and now cooperating with the Faculty of Mathematics and Physics of the same university. And the other was Czechoslovak. Before that, it was Czechoslovak Academy of Science. Now it's Czech Academy of Science. There is a special group focusing on math education. So from the Academy of Science, the main person is Marie Tichá, and there were others, for example, Milan Koman, František Kuřina, Kittler. There were many people cooperating with her, but she was the mother of all what was done there. And then at the Faculty of Education, there are many names, but it's so difficult to name some of them and to forget others. But there are leading persons, for example, Nadia Vondrová, Milan Hejný, and Ladislav Kvas, one of the younger ones. But there are also other universities in the country. For example, a lot of math education is done in South Bohemian University, Alena Hošpesová, Libuše Samková. They are really doing a lot of things. Pavel Pech, who is and Jiří Vaníček, who work in ICT in math education. There is another center in North Bohemia, University of North Bohemia, Jan Evangelista Purkyně, where I could name, for example, Petr Eisenman and Jiří Přibyl. Then Olomouc is a big center where there are people like Josef Molnár, and Brno. Brno is South Moravian capital, and there is a very important group I could name, for example, Růžena Blašková and Irena Budinová. And I'm afraid that I forgot somebody, but there are really a lot of people now who work at the international level.
We want to know about some postgraduate programs available in Czech Republic about maths education. You identify some important programs in.
I think I'll just start and then Jarmila will put all the details. But I think what is very important in the Czech Republic is that we clearly see the difference between a mathematics teacher and a mathematician. So the training at or the education at faculties has the form of program for teachers or for scientists, mathematicians, and PhD studies are also possible for like teachers of mathematics and mathematics education. And Jarmila will tell much more about it.
Before I name some of these programs, I forgot to say something very important. In our country, there is math education as scientific discipline. It's not a part of mathematics. It's a specific scientific discipline. And many really famous mathematicians supported math education and its separation of mathematics and math education. You know, for example, academician Czech or academician Kurzweil, they really supported so much. Or Petr Vopienka, who is very famous mathematician, all of them supported the individualization of math education. Mm-hmm. And so we have several programs now. They are, as I mentioned, the centers. Mm-hmm. They have also math education doctoral programs. But not all of them are really directly of mathematics. For example, in our faculty, or in, I think almost they have directors of mathematics. By the Faculty of Mathematics and Physics, they have the program that focuses on math education, but it's called elementary mathematics. And it's it's focusing more on the content, not on the form of math education, but on the content. There are programs in Ústí nad Labem, in Jan Evangelista Purkyně, in cooperation with Pearson and with the third one. At least Pearson is together with them. They have a program which is also more mathematical, but it's focusing on math education. So the PhD thesis can't be purely mathematical, but more of them they focus more on the content, mathematical content, than on the psychological and pedagogical principles linked with it. Then there is a program in South Bohemia which is called Theory of Math Education, and also I think that there is Brno has a program. So these small universities, but important places for math education, they have also their doctoral program. And those universities or faculties who want to have the right to accredited professorship or associated professorship programs, they have to have doctoral program in the field, otherwise they do not get the accreditation for habilitation and for professorship.
What is the social perception about math teachers in Czech Republic?
I think the Czech Republic, as well as many other European countries or Central and Eastern European countries, has a problem with the position of teachers in general. The teachers in the Czech Republic are the worst paid university graduates in the system, which sometimes means that the general public perceives them as the losers. Because if they were really well educated, then they would be teaching, they would be doing something that pays better. So the position of teachers in general tends to be rather clumsy because they don't get the respect that they deserve. Part of it might be that there are better teachers and there are worse teachers. Part of it might be in the system. Mathematics teachers are somewhat special because we are really short of them. We do not have enough qualified teachers of mathematics, and we have almost no qualified teachers of physics. Because if someone studies mathematics or teaching mathematics, they will get much better offers, like job offers, than being a teacher. So they must be really into it to make the decision at the age of 25, okay, I'm going to teach despite the fact that I have 20 much better paid careers available. On the other hand, since mathematics teachers are so rare, they will be more appreciated than other teachers because it's like someone really precious to find a really well-qualified mathematics teacher. Okay, now Jarmila will say more and she will correct all my...
I will tell you my personal feeling. I am training future teachers of mathematics. I am doing what I can to really educate best mathematics teachers. And then they go in banks, in other institutions, and they do not teach. Which means that we educated them very well because they are able to do anything. But on the other hand, we lose the best students because they are accepted everywhere, which is a pity.
The trouble is, if you are 25, you have the prospect of getting married and having a family, especially if you are a man. You will be worried to follow the career in education because it's not a poor life, but it's not it doesn't pay as well as other careers. And then since they are really well qualified, they have the right skills and abilities and competencies, they find really well paid jobs elsewhere.
I must say that it's also regional. the regions where there is a big, high rate of unemployment, teachers are, it's a stable, everything is guaranteed, you will get the, not high money, but your money is guaranteed and your position is guaranteed. So they are, for example, in North Moravian region, there are a lot of people, even teachers of mathematics, but in Prague or in Brno, in big towns where there are international companies and other opportunities, they do not stay there.
And I would add one thing, because Jarmila was speaking about the doctorate programs which really focus on mathematics education. I think one of the problems of Czech systems is that getting a degree, a PhD in any field of study does not improve your position as a teacher. So although the people work as researchers, although they can make experiments, also although they understand psychology and pedagogy, having a PhD puts them on the same level as all other teachers in the school, because a PhD title makes them scientists or researchers, but not better qualified teachers, and I think that's really wrong.
What is now a very important thing is the action research. All these scientific centers are trying to cooperate with teachers and to do, these teachers do research of their own work. It's called action research in my country. I don't know if it's internationally known, but it means the teacher researches his or her own work in the classroom. And we are constructing something which could be called communities of practice, where there are scientists, teachers, managers of education, and these groups, they start to produce a very important and interesting results. But everything is done on the non-compulsory, voluntary basis. It's not prescribed, and it depends on your own initiative to find teachers, to find other colleagues to work with you. So it's whom I meet in these groups. These are really enthusiasts.
What do you foresee for the future of maths education in Czech Republic? Do you perceive that this is a discipline, a scientific discipline that are going to be more recognized in Europe or in the?
Okay, shall I start again? Yeah. Okay, I think the field of mathematics education and didactics of mathematics is one of the really well established ones, because everybody can see that mathematics is crucially important, and that performance of Czech learners seems to be declining at certain stages. Like you have PISA research, which from time to time shows that Czech students have gone, like their performance is lower, and then it gets better again. Now we have a huge discussion in the country whether mathematics at A levels should be compulsory or not, because a lot of people believe that mathematics skills are skills for life, not just for doing mathematics. However, the minister nowadays says, yes, A levels in mathematics would be okay, but first we have to have a look at what is done at schools and why Czech students seem not to be achieving as much as they could be, which means mathematics education as such really is in the center of attention of policymakers and of researchers. And I think the discipline of didactics of mathematics is really like in the spotlight. Yeah. That's my opinion.
And also we can see that when there is any request from, for example, from the ministry, maths education is the first who really tries to solve the problems that are presented to them, and other disciplines like languages or something. They are lost behind mathematics. Mathematics usually math education is usually the first. And also we have the organization which is very influential and historically this the Union of Czech Mathematicians and Physicists. There is a branch, a part which is called SUMA, the
Association of Mathematics Teachers.
And representative of this association, they are invited to all discussions in the parliament and everywhere, so we can influence. And all this, to be able to influence really what happens on the political level, we need to have a strong scientific results that could be used for in discussions and showing you can't do this something this way because it's against the scientific results.
And there is one more thing I want to say, that educational reform has become associated with the didactics of mathematics about 5 or 10 years ago. So nowadays when someone speaks about innovative approaches or innovation in education, the first thing they will refer to is mathematics and what is now being done in mathematics at schools and what methodologies are used. So it is really well known with the general public as well, and a lot discussed in popular media, in magazines, on websites for parents and parent communities. So it does attract a lot of attention.
And regions organize discussions with public, with parents and with the public about what happens in education, but especially in math education. Because many people feel, although mathematics is sometimes seen as something which is too difficult and only for somebody, but many people see that really mathematics is the part of the general education and something which everybody needs in their life, and the way of thinking, not only calculating, but the way of thinking.
Problem solving. Analytical thinking.
And what I also would like to say, there is somehow I could call it laboratory of mass education, because Czechoslovakia was split into countries, the Czech Republic and Slovak Republic. Each country is independent and develops in its own way. And we can compare what happened after the 93 when the two countries separated. It's really, you can see the results of different movements, because Slovakia is similar but it's different. And you can, it's a very interesting comparative situation, and we are organizing many things together for future teachers, for teachers, and also in science we are doing many things together, and you can see that it's not the same when the country develops in its way. So this is something that you can't find maybe in other parts of the world, because here it was a peaceful separation, cooperation, but differences arose.
If you want to add something that you think that is important, that maybe math education community, the Latin American or Latin speakers, native Spanish, the people that speak Spanish, needs to know about Czech Republic.
Well, I think, and that's not maybe connected to what you are saying, but I think it's extremely important for teachers to have the opportunity to share experience in the country, across countries and across continents, because everybody has, each country, as Jarmila was speaking about the Czech Republic and Slovakia, each country develops its own special methods and methodologies, and STEM in Mexico is not STEM in the Czech Republic, and just meeting and communicating and talking is the way of making things advance. So, but that
is more general. It's more general than you asked, but I think that it's the basis for all the movement in the country.
So thank you. Well, I'll just thank you for for giving us the opportunity to be here with you and to speak to the Mexican audience. Thank you very much.
Thank you to let us know about what maths education is in Czech Republic, and to have this maybe one perception, but it's your point of view. But we are really interested to maybe share all kind of things that are doing in really different spaces and really different countries. So we want
I would like to invite you to participate at our conference that we are organizing, international conference, that we are organizing every second year at our department, our faculty, which is called Symposium on Elementary Math Teaching. The next one will be in August 2021, and it's focusing on elementary math teaching. It's mathematics up to 12 years and teacher education for this age year. It starts with preschool mathematics and finishes with 12 years old children. You are very, very welcome if you want to participate at this conference or somebody from your...
Esperamos que este video te haya sido de utilidad. Si tienes dudas o quieres saber sobre otros países, por favor coméntalo, danos un like y síguenos en todas nuestras redes sociales para que podamos continuar con esta labor de divulgación de la educación matemática.